And then bringing your attention into the sounds that are going on inside of the room. Focusing only on these and listening to what you can hear. And then finally, bringing your attention to the sounds that are going on inside your body, like your breath, your heartbeat, stomach noises. Focusing on these and listening to what you can hear. And as you're in this space, notice the sense of grounding you feel in your body. Feel your sitting bones sitting on the surface you're sitting on. And notice how when you just focus completely, that the mind chatter can disappear. Bringing you into the present moment. And just allowing you some space to breathe. So we're going to be talking about exactly this feeling, this groundedness that we move into at the end of our dance, when we drop to the floor. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just being here now. The mind has ceased its chatter, or at least is in the background somewhere after the body's been active. It's a place of deep rest, stillness. It's a place where the body can fully recharge and rejuvenate itself, rebalancing and harmonizing, giving you a sense of wholeness, of completeness. It's a place where the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. It's a place of integration, and it is absolutely necessary in order to ground the transformational experience of the shake and the dance. This is often where the magic happens. And people come away feeling satisfied. Whatever that contentment looks like, whether it's peace, whether it's joy, whether it's love, whether it's connection with yourself, with the divine. It's a sense of satisfaction, and when we feel a sense of satisfaction, that's when we can stop seeking for the next experience. We're just happy with ourselves, and all is well. And maybe when you're in this space now, before we come out of it, maybe you want to tune right into your heart space, noticing how your heart may be feeling this time of the year, this stage of your life. How is the heart feeling? And is there anything that we can give the heart that will help it and help us on our journey ahead? So if there's something that you want to bring more of into your life, you can imagine that you're holding it in your cupped hands. And then you're just going to place those hands over the heart, giving that gift to yourself. And feeling the warmth of your hands too across your heart. Nurturing, soothing, loving yourself. And then when you're ready, you're going to take a stretch. Open your eyes, maybe yawn out the face, come back into the room. Right, so I'm going to try and unmute everybody and see what happens, but if it gets a bit loud, I'll just mute people again. Because it's nice to be able to hear you. I'm not just talking into the void then. Sometimes feel a bit weird.
I do apologise. like, oh, I had to try and sort it out. I'm connected to my phone now, hotspot, so the internet, yeah, it's sometimes working, sometimes not. So yeah, I'll see how I go.
Okay, Sinead.
If I disappear, I'll try and get back.
Well, Charlie's asked me to record this. I mean,
okay.
So I will record it anyway. And then of course all the tutorials are available there as video as well. It's just a bit more formal because it's all done with Keynote. That's presentation, that is. I went around my box. Like that's 1980s dance, isn't it? Good. So we're going to talk about grounding and stillness and why is it so important to do that at the end of the class. So I just kind of want your thoughts, your views on why it's important.
Can I go?
Yeah.
I feel like for me, like the end bit is like the most important bit in which, like, how I like to imagine it is like people, like, you want to go, like, oh, it's just the lying down bit, like, I need to go, I want to get my car out the car park, I want to get home, like, it's just lying down, whatever. And so actually, like, that's the reason to stay, is because that's actually the most challenging part, I feel. Like, here, just be with yourself for 3 minutes, heaven forbid, like, you've got nothing to do and nowhere to go, and that thing that we just brush off as like, oh, I don't need that, is the, like, a very, like, is a masculine, oh god, is like a masculine, like, focused outlook on something, like almost like you've come to do a fitness class, like you've got sweaty, you've done the dance, and like the nourishing feminine loveliness at the end, which is a gift for you to be with yourself, is like shrugged off. And yeah, for me, I feel like I've got a really, really lovely little process bit with this bit, but I feel like it's so simple, like it's so simple that it requires no thought. And I guess that's why it's the most grounding, because it's so simple, there's nothing to even think about in it.
Yeah, beautifully put, Nika.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
And we did it for a bit longer than 3 minutes though.
Oh yeah, I know, but I mean, I was just an example.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important, because often that is the case, isn't it? It's like, even when we're doing yoga and stuff, quite often, I know when I first started doing yoga years ago, like about 30 years ago or something, I used to not like the lying down bit at the end.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, I've done it. Exactly what you're saying. Like, yeah, and now I can't wait for that thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, please let me lie down.
Yeah. Like, sure, you shake it off and you dance each energy, like, to the end, and then you just drop. Yeah.
It's very soothing to the body, and it's not really like get your blanket, get your coat, like make yourself uncomfortable on the floor. It's more like it's like a Zen stick, so it's just like drop to the floor. I mean, not so you hurt yourself, do it in a safe way, but drop to the floor, nothing to do, nowhere to go. So it's really about changing from one state of being really, really active to just like letting it go. And what happens in that, because there's no real transition, it kind of forces the mind to drop whatever it was doing as well. Because quite often you can still be, even if you're dancing and like into your body and moving through the whole the dance and the shake and everything, you can still have that mind chatter bubbling away at you. I mean, not all the time, but generally most people, and including me, because I've got a really busy mind a lot of the time when I'm dancing. When that drop happens, it's like gone. The mind disappears. So yeah, it's just a really important part of it. What else? Sinead, can you lean in?
I just feel it's really important, because you've kind of like, you've gone on this massive roller coaster, and then it just brings you back to you, like what Nick's saying, it just brings you back to you for that moment. And I it's my favourite bit. I often fall asleep in the grounding. I'm like that, snoring away, and then I'm like, oh, it's finished. So quite often it quite really relaxes me, I find, and I just feel like that's really important, because it just brings me back down when I've been like really high. Like I danced earlier actually, and I kind of like got really, really high and felt really, really good, and then the grounding was just lovely. I was just like, yeah, I need to come back down to earth a little bit. So yeah, it was really nice, and I just feel it's important just to come back and just keep that connection with you.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Great, Sinead. And yeah, sometimes, a lot of the time, people do fall asleep, especially in the evening. People don't fall asleep so much in the morning class, obviously, because like you've just got up, so generally you're a bit more awake at that time of the day. But in the evening, quite often people fall asleep. And guys, often, if there's guys there, they nearly always fall asleep, because they just do that, don't they? It's just like, I don't know any guys that can't sleep. They just like switch off that part of their brain, go into sleep mode. And yeah, I don't think I'm being sexist. I just think that's the way their brain works. So yeah, often you can just fall asleep. But it's a really healing sleep. It's a really deep healing sleep, because it's just for a few minutes at the end of all that exercise. So it's a really good place to be. And often, if you're not quite getting enough sleep as well, some people who maybe find it really difficult to nod off will fall asleep in that time as well. So if they're having trouble sleeping, it can be really restful for them. Any other insights?
May I even be bold enough to say it actually like makes you a more confident dancer? You know, like when you're doing yoga, and you kind of get the courage to like, oh, I'm not going to do that bit. I'm just going to do child's pose, and then you become comfortable with like engineering your own kind of like rests, I guess, like and through that I feel like you become like less like self-conscious and more just embodied with like what your limits, I guess, like your like boundaries. I don't know, maybe I'm seeing it like really intimately, probably, but I feel like there's like a confidence when you're like confident to just be lying there, just all yummy. Then perhaps in the like super intense parts of the dance, you can like rein it back in a little bit more when you feel yourself, and in the mind as well. Like it's obviously speaking for myself here, when you're like expanding a lot and you're like, oh, okay, wild.
No, it's good. It's good what you're saying. It's an interesting idea. I think I get what you mean. Like, if you like, if you're encouraged to do that every time, or dance how you like, but a lot of people would feel maybe not confident enough to go down onto the floor if they wanted to go down onto the floor. They would feel like they've got to keep standing up. So I kind of get your train of thought, and it's a good one. Yeah. Sometimes I have. Sometimes I used to have a student, a client, whatever you call them, and she had chronic back pain. She slipped her disc, so sometimes she'd bring just her bed, like, and she'd spend most of the lesson on a little mattress in the corner, but she was like, she just wanted to be in the environment of it and move when she could, and just drop down for the rest of the time.
Wow.
Kind of be in that space of not moving, but still moving, still being focused on the breath or whatever, and being in the room. So yeah, it's an opportunity, because you can do what you like in ecstatic awakening dance. You can't go around hitting people.
Is this opportunity to like a really deep rest when you drop, you just with yourself, and it's actually maybe even better than sleep to me, because it's different experience, because you also healing when you do that.
I like to think sometimes it takes you into a bit of a super conscious state where you're like just really expanded, but also really satisfied. You feel complete at the same time, which makes you feel like you can possibly do anything, but you don't have to do anything. It's just like a really yummy sort of feeling. Like Delena?
Yeah. I was saying that I have this experience that almost like I am nobody, and exactly like we're repeating, nowhere to go, nothing to do, and really depressed, but also like I myself dissolving, like I don't know where I am. It's just different dimension. Or I know it sounds like, but we know what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Exactly.
The word that keeps coming to me is I assimilate. I feel like everything it's a big coming together, assimilation of all of the things that came up and out, and figuring all that, just where does everything fit in again? Not the negative releasing and all of that, but the stuff that starts to come up but doesn't completely come up back in, and then all the yummy, delicious, juicy stuff that comes up that feels so good, it just kind of assimilates back in. That's the only word I can think of whenever I think of that.
So it's like a recomposing, maybe a restructuring, assimilating. Yeah,
I feel like Superwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. After I'm laying there and I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I have this experience. Can I say something? I have this experience that when I do that, I don't know if you guys having this as well. When I do that, I just don't really want to be awake again. Like, I know it's only short time, but you drop and you think it's like maybe a minute, but it turns like it's half an hour already gone.
Yeah, I often feel like that as well, Magdalena, especially when the singing bowls are happening. I'm like, oh, I have to get up.
Yeah. Very nice.
Good. Great. So on a very practical level as well, what it actually does is it after all that moving around and jiggling energy about and shaking it up, it allows the body to just come back into stillness. So it prevents things like headaches or nausea or dizziness, or so it just allows the body to settle back down again and get into your regular tempo breathing. So when we say it, we literally say nothing to do, nowhere to go, just being here now. It's not breathe this way or take a deep breath, or we just don't do any of that. So we don't want people to then think that they've got to breathe in a certain way, because that takes you out of that relaxation state. So it really is just nothing, just being. And if you haven't got singing bowls, it doesn't matter. You can do this in silence. You can do it. I used to work in the middle of London in Islington. I used to do an event in Islington, and there was always loads of this going on outside. But when you're in that zone, it almost complements what's going on. So you never have to worry about, like, unless there's a massive fight going on in the next room or something, most people will just be in such a zoned out state that they won't be bothered by outside noise. So don't be afraid to do it in silence, as well as maybe having the singing bowls, because actually how often we just have nothing. It's so rare in this day and age that we just lie with nothing, no music, nothing for a while. Yes, Mandy.
Just a quick question. I think it's maybe Magdalena's microphone. I find it really hard. There's some interference, and I find it really hard to
It is hers.
hear properly. Yeah.
I just turned it off.
Right. Yeah. It really kind of makes it harder to hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Magdalena. You'll just have to unmute yourself if you want.
You're out. You're fired.
Yeah, that's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're right. We're talking about silence, and there's a funny old noise going on in the background. It's just like forcing you to concentrate.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so grounding, just so important. And then obviously after we've done the lying down, then we come into a circle and we do the heaven and earth meditation, which is a really simple visualization, and it's literally coming into your heart. So just becoming aware of like this feels a bit different to what it did at the beginning of the session. And then we go down into the earth, so we really connect in to the earth, feel that sense of grounding. And then we come up through the body and up into the universe. So we realize at that point, when we go up into the universe, this is where you really notice, oh my God, there's no thoughts left. I'm actually just here. It's not a busy old mind happening. So it kind of gives you that expansive feeling. And then we bring both of those energies again back into the heart. And then we take the hands of the people beside us, and we either do 3 breaths together or 3 ums together, depending on whether you're an umma or not. And then we open our eyes and we're back in the space. And finally we have like a little mini sharing circle, and we say what we say in these circles, talking from the heart, listening from the heart, 1 word or a couple of sentences, try not to go back up into your mind too much, but staying in your body. So often at this point, most people are in quite a peaceful sort of state. So you don't want to make it too much of a sharing circle. It's just like how they're feeling in this moment. Sometimes you might, if you're going, you know, if you're doing a longer group, then you want to hear a little bit more about how people are feeling. But just in a 2-hour class, you just want to get a taste of what's going on for people, and just so that you've got a chance to just check in with them. And often the easiest way to do that is to use a talking stick or a stone, a crystal. I've got like a crystal, I've got quite a stupidly large crystal ball that I pass around the circle, and it enables people to take the crystal, and then if they don't want to say anything, they can just pass it on. So you've kind of acknowledged everybody going round. And the other thing about having something in your hand is, one, it connects you to your heart. So the hands, the arms come down through the heart. So you're much more likely to speak from this space. And having something in your hand also gives people a slight sense of responsibility, and they don't talk for so long. You know, like sometimes in a sharing circle, there might be one person who starts, you know, telling you their life story or something when you're at the end of the class, and like that's not helpful to anybody. So we've found over the years, like by say one word or a couple of sentences, how you're feeling now, and use this talking stick, pass it on, crystal, whatever it is. And if you don't want to say anything, just pass the crystal on, and that just keeps it quite succinct, but you get an idea of where everybody's at. And then at the end of your class, you just make yourself available. You tell people about the next session or what's coming up, that they can talk to you if they want to. Tell them that we've got all this written down, by the way. You know, it's been a big experience for them. You might take this into your dreams. Try not to go into any harsh environments, and just take extra care as you go out there in the world, because you're just going to be a bit more open. So we say that, and then maybe tell them about something else that's going on, how they can contact you. And then as you're packing away your stuff, often we like have a cup of tea and some chocolates or nuts and fruit that you pass around after the sharing circle. And then there's an opportunity for people to often have a cup of tea, even when you're really time bounded, that you've got to get out of your venue, because like in London, loads of the venues are by the hour and they're quite expensive, so you want to get out of there pretty sharpish, but you've still got to take all your equipment down and pack that away. So that's going to take you 15-20 minutes. That's enough time for people to have a cup of tea, and then you kind of make yourself available at that time for people to talk to you if you want to. So that's all that last section of the dance, from the lying down to the visualization to the sharing circle to the end. It's really about bringing people back into this reality. And like we said at the beginning, it's based on the orgasmic wave. So we've gone wee, and then hopefully we've come out the other side slightly higher than we came into, but not like still up there somewhere, so that the dance hasn't been integrated. So that's really all I want to say about the grounding and the heaven and earth visualization. Obviously we'll we'll be practicing this when we come together, and like most of you have had experience of, you know, how groups are held, and quite a few of you are already doing things, so you kind of know the flow of that, of holding a circle. But the other thing I really want to talk about this evening is, just realised I'm getting so warm, is how you hold that space, and really what might come up. And we'll go over this as well in the residential, because this can be like a little bit scary for people, but like what to do in certain situations if you get somebody coming to your class that's a bit of a pain in the arse, or all these different things that can happen. So we'll go over that a lot more in the residential. But the main thing I would say for like the most important thing, your job, your role throughout all of this, is to maintain and allow a space of transformation, but a loose space. So you're holding, you're allowing the space. I don't say holding anymore, because I remember one time I was holding this whole festival because it was kind of crazy, and the festival runners had this massive row, and so they were, anyway, so I was like holding this festival weekend, and that's what it felt like, and I was absolutely exhausted by the end of it. So now it's all about allowing. So I allow the transformation to happen, but the spirit does the work. So it's really your role is to be prepared, to be there in enough time that you feel prepared, that you've had a chance to center yourself, feel grounded, set up your space, make a little intention, make a prayer of some sort of like, let this be a great space tonight for people to come and get what they need. And help me to hold this space in loving kindness, so that everybody can have a nice dance. And anyway, it's really hard to say it off the top of my head. I'm really pacing around the room, so it's a bit odd. I'm trying to just drop into that. So you're ready to receive your people. You're prepared. You've got your music, your playlist sorted out, the room's tight, the floor's swept. You've got some little twinkly lights or whatever you're going to decorate your place with, and you feel centered and calm. And from that place, you know what you're going to say. You might be a little bit nervous to begin with, but you know basically what you're going to say. And so once you've done all that, then the rest is really about just holding that space, allowing that space in a calm but professional way, so that you feel kindness and compassion for everybody, and you just like you're just there doing your job, and spirit is doing the rest. So you really are holding a calm, clear space, no matter what else is going on in the rest of your life. You want to leave that all outside the door, and for the 2 hours that you're taking your dance class, you're just there for your students, for your clients, and you're holding this space of equanimity where you're there, but nothing anybody can do can kind of knock you off balance too much. So it's really this is the main thing about holding something like this, because it's not choreography. It's not, you're not telling people, you're guiding them in, but then it's completely up to them, and it's completely up to, it's part of their journey. It's not really your thing. So you need to be just giving your guidelines in a clear, concise way, and then you just let go of what's going to happen the rest of the time. So there, most of the time, well, nearly all of the time, it's really people want to be there, so they are not going to give you a hard time, or like, and especially when you're doing your first lot of practice sessions as well, you let people know you're doing practice sessions and they'll be like on your side and gunning for you generally. Not that that's a very good word to use. But yeah, so I've lost my train of thought there. Occasionally you might get someone that is behaving a bit oddly, or is pushing some sort of boundary, and this kind of thing happens all the time. So the main thing to think about, although you don't have to say this, we used to say this at the beginning of each class, but it gets a bit dull. You can kind of do it beforehand if you've got somebody at the door, but you want to kind of know if people have got major illnesses going on, like if they've got like a pacemaker or something, or also if women are pregnant, you can give them an alternative to the shake. The shake is perfectly fine to do when you're pregnant, but if you haven't done it before and you're sort of like 7 months pregnant, it's likely to feel really uncomfortable to do this shake. So kind of like, it's got a few contraindications that maybe you need to be aware of. And sometimes most people, if they've got something going on, they'll come to you and they'll tell you about it. So like, and most of it's kind of common sense. So we're not forcing people to dance or move in any particular way. So we just say, well, do what you can, go to your limits. If somebody's got asthma and they're worried about having an asthma attack, we say, well, have you got your asthma pump handy? Put it in your pocket, you know. You just, these kind of useful practical things that you can do for people with different needs. And of course you're going to always get cross-section of the public, and there's always lots of different things going on for people. You might get people with mental health issues, and that's quite common, but it depends also quite a lot on what you actually do for a living. I know when Amoda was teaching, she never ever got anybody with any mental health problems coming to her events, but when I started working with Tara, who used to be a mental health nurse, and I've worked in prisons a lot with mental health and stuff, we used to get lots of people turning up with mental health issues, because I don't know, a like attracts like, or you kind of get what you can handle. So and most of the time what would happen often with people with mental health problems is that you might notice things like, one of the things that often happens is that when they're doing the shake, because we say put your feet firmly on the ground and shake from there, often if people have got some sort of mental health problems like psychosis or whatever they've got going on for them, they don't keep their feet on the ground. It's a very physical thing, so it's a really good thing to be able to do the shake with people who might have different things going on with their minds, because it brings you right the way down into your feet, into your body, and takes away from this whirring that's going on in your head, in your mind. So most of the time, I've never really had an incident that I couldn't sort out. There's been a couple of things, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. I must have just like Oh, sure. I will remember when we're on the residential. Anybody concerned about different things that might happen within the dance class? Dance session?
I was just thinking about first aid. I know nothing about first aid. Do you think that that's something I should get to know?
Well, I just done a 3-day first aid course that I got re-examined for my first aid, and I think it's quite a useful thing to know in most situations. But I just got to thinking, oh my God, I'm in charge of all these people, and actually I probably need to be up to date on my first aid course. So I went earlier this year. It's a good thing to have, full stop, isn't it? But it's not actually a requirement, although I wonder, I mean, I don't know the law on this, but I should think that maybe because you're in charge of all these people and maybe you're on your own, that you might need to have a first aid certificate.
Right.
By law, but I don't think so. I don't think you need to have one by law, but I don't actually know.
Right.
But it's actually quite a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, it just it makes me feel a little bit more confident. I mean, quite honestly, I forget most of it. As a couple of weeks after I've learnt it, I think, oh my God, can I remember what to do? But I hope that somewhere it's gone in there. And the main thing about first aid is, like, if in doubt, call 911, 999 straight away. Where am I? I'm in America. And generally there's always, like, often there's somebody who's in the class as well that is a first aider as well.
Yeah.
So if something dire happens, then you would be in a position to ask for help from someone. But I found out some interesting stuff when I was doing the first aid course now, because I was doing it around, it was like based on being out in the countryside a lot, being outside and maybe away from any sort of help, because a lot of the work that I do is in the middle of nowhere, and I live in the middle of nowhere as well. So, but I found out that as soon as you phone 999, in all areas, they've got, like, somebody who's a first responder who kind of lives in that village or that place. They've got these people all over the place, and they'll phone them up and they'll come straight round.
Good.
To help you out. So that's a really useful thing to know. So, and if you're worried about someone, phone up 999 straight away, and they'll just talk you through what to do as well. So it's not it doesn't, you know, that is the best thing that you can do when somebody's struggling. If it's a mental thing, then the best thing you can do is kind of just, like, keep talking to people, really you know what to do, Julie.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, so I've never had to do anything where I had to administer first aid yet, thank goodness. So I think it would be quite a rare thing. And I think it's probably because of the nature of this particular dance as well. It's not like going to the local gym or something where you've got all sorts of different people and levels of fitness. Generally, people are a little bit more aware and into their bodies in certain ways that come to a class like this.
Yeah.
So you won't necessarily get people that have got a pacemaker or different things going on.
What about people who want to bring their kids and pets?
new.
What, no to both? No
Yeah.
to both.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a blind dog, not a blind dog, a blind. They are called blind dogs, aren't they? We try and discourage kids only because it's going inside yourself. It's not really about dancing with other people. It can be really boring for children. It's great if they can join in with everybody and have a little dance, so they can get a bit bored. So, and then it can become slightly disruptive, especially to the parents or the caregiver who's there. It just doesn't give them a chance to really let go into it. And because people are generally, dancing with their eyes shut, that can also be slightly weird to kids.
Yeah.
Like, because when kids, they don't care, do they? They've got no inhibitions about how they move, so they tend to run in and out of the people, and that can be quite disconcerting. So if it's like a teenager and they want to come, then that's a different story, because that's, they're wanting to come to be in that space, in that internal space, and I would encourage that. And obviously in festivals and things, there's, you can't control any of that, but then generally in festivals people don't shut their eyes as much. It's much more of a party kind of atmosphere that happens, so we wouldn't stop people, young people or dogs, coming into a festival. But as a general rule, I would say no people, no pets, unless you've got, like, somebody's got a dog that just sits in the corner for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it'd have to be quite a placid dog, because if they see people raging or something, they might get a little bit excited. So it would just depend on the person. But I would say it's just nicer for everybody if they can just go into their own space, really.
Yeah. Thanks.
And that's the other thing as well, like in a normal class, like a session class that you put on, we don't let people in after it started, unless they're like total regulars and they know the rundown of things, and they're just late because they didn't, they missed the bus or whatever. If it's like if it's somebody who knows the score and you can speak to them, but otherwise it's really, it doesn't work if people come in halfway through the session or halfway through the shape, because they won't get into it like everybody else has, and they can often be, it can be quite destructive the same way. So and it's good practice to get people to be disciplined about timings as well, because if you're at all wishy-washy about the timings, then it just gets more and more and more wishy-washy.
What about the people, maybe you'll know these people, that they're like the buzzkills, yeah, that like come, like they like come to something like a bit like alternative, I guess, that they find, but then they're like quite like cynical or like skeptical when they're in there, and so I'm just wondering, I've got in my head like a few personalities of people that like they want to come to have a new experience, but then when they're in the experience say something like smarmy, like, oh well, we might as well be in a nightclub taking loads of drugs, or saying, oh like, what's the point in this, or something like that. And it's like, dude, why did you come? Like, what? Yeah, just those kind of people. Like how to like be with them without them, like, because I feel like they bring down the vibe of like the whole room. And then I know for me personally, like I'm on a bit of a defense there. of like, but this is, you know, it's like good, clean fun, I guess. But yeah, just wondering if you've experienced any of these.
Sometimes, and it really rarely happens, I have to say, because I have, like, I've had experiences, like, and this was right at the beginning of doing this particular dance for me, which was like 12 years ago or something, because I was starting out. It was very, somebody came that was the best friend of one of the other teachers that I trained with. And she was just like, she just didn't get involved the whole time. She was kind of standing and she wouldn't dance. And then at the end she said, well, I didn't really get into it, and exactly what you're saying. But what I realised was that it was because she wanted to say to her friends that her friend's class was better. It was kind of like a loyalty thing, I think, more than anything else. That was the real feeling that I got. So when anybody shares at the end of the circle, they don't share beforehand. And sometimes, like, people will go, when you've got the music on, they're like, oh, it's too loud, I don't want. And like, I have had someone come and tell me to turn the music down. And I was like, well, I actually can't, just go to the back of the room, because this is how the music is. Just try and, like, use it. If you don't like it, stamp it. If you don't like it, let your anger out, because it's a resistance, basically, when somebody's complaining. But it doesn't happen very often, Nika. And I think one of the reasons is they've kind of got nothing to fight against, because you're telling them, if you don't like the music, dance that. You can't get it right, you can't get it wrong, you know. So they're wrestling with themselves if they're feeling like that. And sometimes what happens is, if they haven't tried out ecstatic awakening dance before, they will compare it to what they have done. So they might compare it to Five Rhythms or Biodanza, or say, oh, I didn't really like it because it was different, and I didn't get a chance to dance with a partner, and you can just be really diplomatic about that, and say, yeah, this is how we do it in this dance. Maybe it's just not quite for you, because not everybody has to love it. And when people do share, so you give them that opportunity, because everybody's allowed to share. So we used to say, like, share from your heart, the good, the bad, the ugly. It doesn't have to be positive. It can be whatever you're feeling, and that gives people permission to actually say if they're disgruntled in any way. But all you have to do to that is witness them and say thank you. After everyone's shared, you just say thank you, no matter what it is. So it's not about that space of talking, sharing and listening from the heart. It's not about getting into a debate. It's just about witnessing people. A lot of the time, I know this has happened for me before. When I first did a Wild Chocolate Club in Bristol. In Bristol, there's a really big Five Rhythms scene, and a lot of the same people that go to the Five Rhythms all the time. And the first one we did, we always used to open a Wild Chocolate Club somewhere with the one for a charity. So that all the money that was raised would go to a charity. So we'd always get big numbers the first time. And we had about 100 people there, just at the Wild Chocolate Club there. And quite a few of the men came up to me and Zoe afterwards and said, were almost kind of trying to tell us how to do it. Like, I really enjoyed it, but you know what I mean? And what I think it was, I think they was like, there's a funny scene in Bristol. I don't know if any of you are from Bristol or know about Bristol, but it's quite, there's a lot of open relationships, and there's a lot of mingling of people and personalities. It's quite a closed group in some ways, but so there's a lot of, and I think it was mostly the guys. They were slightly slimy guys, and they didn't like the fact that they couldn't dance with some of the girls. Do you know what I mean? So I think that because it's an eyes closed experience, it's not about partner dancing, so they couldn't run around the room and present themselves to whoever they fancied that week. So I think it's something to do with that. So it's just not for everyone. Some people really love this dance, and some people don't like it so much, because it's different, isn't it? It's a different way of dancing. It's much more with yourself and about going inside. And from that place, connecting with people afterwards, that once you're in your own heart space, then you can connect so much more easily with others. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that and having that partner dancing space and doing all those things. That's, it's beautiful and it's lovely, but that's not quite what we do. So some people will find that it doesn't quite float their boat. But I have to say, most women absolutely love it. This dance seems to attract a lot more women than men. Not so much in London, but definitely in where I live, where it's very rural, in Bristol, in Monmouth, in Hereford. Bristol not so much, but there's still quite a heavy amount of women compared to men. Obviously, we can tell the demographic by the people on this course.
Yeah.
So I think whoever, and sometimes, Nika, it's just like the perfect learning for you as well. If you get somebody that's being a bit arsey, it's an opportunity for you to practice being compassionate and kind. And
oh yeah, not my usual rammy, fiery self then. Like, yeah.
Loads of people like that then.
It's like, let me just breathe fire in your face for 1 second. Yeah, okay. Practice for me not being a smart ass. Yeah, fine.
I'm going to test you on the residential. I'm just going to whine and whinge the whole time. Oh, it's not quite for me. I don't like the way you did that bit. And then you can breathe fire into me. I like that.
Yeah, I can't handle criticism at all. I look all sweet and stuff, but I'm not. Well, I mean, I am, but like, oh dear. I have my episodes. So yeah, good test.
Sometimes, sometimes you have to just stick your foot down and say sorry.
Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, if you don't like it, you don't have to stay.
Yeah.
You don't have to get into a debate with anybody, but if you don't need somebody, especially when you're first doing something, because these days, like, nothing can shake me or stir me or get me annoyed in the class. But I won't stand. I can be very firm. I've got those boundaries in place, but in a real, like, soft way of like, no, back off, goodbye. Yeah, so you can have those boundaries in place, but when you're first, and I've noticed this, it's quite interesting that, you know, of all the teachers, after they start doing their first practice sessions, they're the worst, because you're practicing, and often you're practicing with people that you know, because you've got your friends round and your family round, and they can be such critical bastards. Like, you never get that in a normal class. Like, they say, oh, I didn't like the music, or I couldn't hear you properly, or, you know, whatever they say, they take the opportunity to be rather critical of you. And it's like, oh, my little heart. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I would say the practice sessions are going to be like the hardest ones you ever do, not because you're practicing, but because you're doing it with people that you know rather well, that think it's okay to give you feedback. Yeah, so just take it with a pinch of salt, as they say, and throw it over your shoulder. Yes. What else? Any questions? Yes, Sinead. Oh, what's happened to you? Can't hear you at all now.
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, there you are.
You can hear me now. Do we need like some public liability insurance?
It depends on you, really.
Okay.
I mean, you can get it. I've got insurance through Baylands for the school, and that's got Ecstatic Awakening Dance listed as a thing they insure with.
Okay.
A lot of places, a lot of venues that you hire these days want you to have that.
Okay.
Which is quite annoying, actually, because there's not really anything that can go wrong. You're not making people do anything
Okay.
that they don't want to do. So it's almost like a infringement on your liberty, I think, to a certain extent. I just hate this kind of insurance culture. But at the same time, if you're working with people, say you were working specifically with people in a rehab or in the NHS, or with mental health problems, or, you know, specific client groups, then you probably want to get some sort of insurance, and they'd ask you to get insurance. For your practice classes, you're actually insured by me.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean I want you to take a claim out against the School of Ecstatic Movement, but for the first 4 practice sessions, like you're covered under the School of Ecstatic Movement.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Straight away, and it's not that expensive either. If you go with someone like Baylands, they insure you. They insure me for my dance, for my shamanic work, for acupuncture, for breath work. You know, I can list the whole thing, clump the whole thing together, and then I can do anything. There's also another little organisation that I stumbled across called People Dancing, which does really cheap insurance, and it's I think you have to join their association, maybe, but it's not that expensive. Hello, Terry. Hello.
This is Digby. He's been out swimming and he's just got back.
Hi, Digby.
Oh, hey.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
I like your hat.
Thanks.
Look a bit like a polar bear.
Yeah, they're real people. Look. Ah. I'm gonna mute myself. There you go.
Hi. Terry, when you finished choking, what did you want to say? You're making me cough now too.
So sorry about that. Mine is a question about the residential. Two things actually. If anyone has a duvet, they're
I've got
willing
that for
to.
you.
Thank you. And then if anyone has a bolster, kind of like this.
I've got that for you.
Okay, that's all. I'm good. I think I have everything else. There isn't much we need.
I actually haven't got a bolster, so if that's what you want to sit on, what I've got is back jacks. Have you ever seen those?
Yes, I like these though, because then they give me
Okay, cool.
a
I
little
haven't got
extra.
a square one like that. I've got lots of.
If anyone has anything, because this will not be bringable.
No.
And then, and I was reading that we needed to feed ourselves breakfast.
No, you don't need to bring breakfast.
Oh, good.
It's
I guess
there.
I'll do Pop-Tarts or something. I don't know.
The chef will not be cooking it and making it for you.
Oh, good. So we just go get ourselves.
Prepare your own breakfast, but everything's there for you to make breakfast.
Perfect.
You just make your own toast, because generally people wander in and out at breakfast is from 8:30, but it's up until 10 o'clock, so people are having showers and what have you. So yeah, you can. We always have porridge. Like we get a little porridge count the night before, so porridge with some like fruit compote, and then there's cereals and toast, and
I'm not much of a breakfast eater, but
yeah,
if I'm hungry, then
okay. Fair. So it's just a case of preparing it for yourself, and we do have coffee.
Excellent.
Somebody always goes, "Oh my God, there's going to be coffee there, isn't there?" There is coffee.
Well, I like tea and coffee, so I'm good either way.
Splendid. Yeah. So everything, Terry, that you haven't got, like that I know you can't bring, there'll be stuff there. There'll be blankets, and there'll be cushions, and there'll be back jacks, and then so and I've kind of got enough for most people anyway, so don't worry about if you forget something, or the most important thing really is just to have a couple of different layers to wear. And there is a washing machine there as well, if you can only if George only brings you 2 pairs of knickers.
Yeah, George. Or if they're too small because you're so tiny.
10 pairs of pants.
10.
And sew them together.
Yeah.
So, and like I literally live half an hour away, and I've got a van, so I can bring stuff if people haven't got stuff, or you forget something, then yeah,
I'm not terribly worried. Oh, and do we need our notebooks with all our papers from the class?
You don't need to bring that with you.
Okay.
It's the journal.
Okay, that's much easier.
Yeah.
Do we need to bring a towel?
Oh.
Yes. I didn't bring anything, did I?
No. Okay. And what will we do in the evenings?
Ooh, a variety of things.
What, dancing?
Right. There'll be. It's quite structured. There's a couple of evenings where we don't do much at all, but there will be different exercises going on. Like, I think as long as the weather's okay, we'll have a fire ceremony one evening, and that sort of thing. And
chocolate, chocolate, cacao.
Yes.
Will we be doing that some night?
Yeah. If you come to my house on Monday, I just realised, Terry, I mean, I don't know what your plans are, but on the Monday night, I've got the last of my online shamanism course at
Oh,
8:00. So if you were coming, it would be good to arrive before then, because it's a cacao ceremony. So
yes. At 8:00, you said?
yeah.
I should be able to be there. I might be there at like 9, 5, 11. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to meet up with a friend who is a tarot reader and do an in-person reading, but I don't know where he is and if it's ever going to happen, but it might be fun.
You don't know where he is?
No, he's being quite elusive, and I have to give him some shit for that, because come on, man, I'm coming all the way over.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. I'm trying to be laid back now. I'm 50.
Have you ever seen him?
Not in person.
Wow. Have you
No.
seen him online?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, loads and loads online. But, yeah. I've only been over there a few times as an adult, so.
Right.
Y'all are lovely over there.
Oh, lovely.
Such nice, friendly people. Not like the criminals who live here.
You're seeing the best of the best.
I know. And you are seeing the best of the best right here. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. So
And I'm so modest. Oh boy.
look, once you hit 50, I think modesty. Why bother if you've got it?
I'm not required to be modest now, am I? No.
Anyway, we digress.
I do. I'm sorry. I'm just getting so excited.
Yeah.
I've got quick question.
Yes, Mandy.
Just a quick recap. The 5 stages are warm up,
yeah,
shake, the
yeah,
dance,
yeah,
stillness, and then heaven and earth.
Yes.
They're the 5.
Yeah.
And quick question to George: am I still good for coming to you?
Yeah, cool.
Going together?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I haven't really been paying attention. I tend to have like a day when I do lots and lots of really good, like downloading bits of paper and paying attention, and then I spend another week going, oh yeah, I must really get around to doing something about X, Y, Z. And so I'm even just then when you were recapping about the 5 stages, I was going, oh yeah, right. Oh, the script, must get them out again, because I got them out somewhere, and I've been having them on the table, and every time I go past, my idea is that they're just going to by osmosis sink into my head. But it's fine. I'll just wing it. I'm going to wing lots of it. I know I am. I'm going to try and learn things, but I'm a hypnotherapist, so I tend to, words come to me in a different way. So actually learning scripts is not, it's a bit weird. But yeah.
You're not the only one. I feel like, so.
And what I would say about that is to really don't worry about it, because when you're all practicing, which you're going to be practicing so much that it will go in by osmosis.
Yay!
You'll be sitting there going, listening to somebody else and going, she hasn't said that.
That's what I think is going to happen to me. Someone will press a buzzer and go, she hasn't said that. She hasn't said that, and I'll be, oh.
Yeah.
So when we're there, is it that we're going to each like have a morning each and we'll lead a session, or is it that we'll be doing bits, or is that don't worry about it, George, until you get there?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Cool.
It kind of builds. We talk about a part, and then you all practice it, and then we talk about the next part, and you practice it. So we do it like that, and then you get a little 25-minute session to do.
Right.
And
okay.
That's
and do we need to have the music for that, or is that all just?
No, I do all that.
Brilliant. So literally stop panicking, George. There's nothing to worry about. Just rock.
Yeah, really stop panicking. It'll be fine. The only thing I would say, actually, Terry, to bring with you, I mean, I can make some copies if and I probably have got some already made, but if you can, bring the words, like the introduction, the warm-up, just bring those so that you can practice, you know, because you'll probably want to look at them maybe in between sessions to just get
Okay,
that.
I also created cards.
Have you?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's
like with
impressive.
bullet points. So, because I'm not a script girl, I'm really going to struggle with that.
Yeah.
But my guides are all here and they're excited and they're like, "Oh, we gotcha."
Yeah. And actually, you know, you're the most studious group I've ever had.
Really? Oh my gosh, I feel like a failure as far as studying.
Hey,
Oh.
seriously, I mean, you've got flashcards.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, man.
well.
Terry, you are way, way out there, mate.
They're pink.
Oh.
Yeah, I have my stack here. I have to practice.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God, look at that.
But they're not all, these are just blank.
Right.
They're my pretties.
Yeah, they are.
Rainbow colors, George.
Yay.
That makes you want to learn, doesn't it?
No, I'm relying on Terry's spirit guide to get me through it as well.
Oh, you got your own girl.
Yeah, but mine's a bit like me. She's off in the corner going, "Nah, don't worry about it, George." It'll be fine.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun. That's what it will be. And you know, we'll all have each other's backs, and that's what makes it sink in more than anything, because you've got that supportive environment, and it's the place to learn and grow and transform. As long as you've got a supportive environment, you can achieve anything, and you'll be
We're a
surprised
family.
how quickly you do it as well.
There's so much love here in this group. I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, me too.
Because I know I could WhatsApp one of you and go, "Oh my gosh, I'm blah, blah, blah. Where am I and how do I get to you?" Because that's my only worry, honestly, is I get lost easily.
Ah.
And it's kind of a big country.
No, it's Diddy.
Well, there's a
Compared
lot
to
of
America, compared to America, it's tiny. It's like that big.
Yeah, but I know it here. I know if
London is a big city.
I don't think I'm going to go there.
Okay, cool.
I think I'm just going to go out to the country because that's what I prefer. I'm not a city girl.
Okay, cool. Well, then just get on the coach to my house. Just come.
Okay, maybe that's
I
what I'll
live
do.
in the country.
And I'll just tell Rafe, I'll be like, "Dude, you blew me off. I'm not coming." Yeah.
You never know, he might live really near to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be wicked.
Yeah. Splendid.
I'm sorry, I digress again.
I like the excitement, it's good. Any more questions, comments, observations, or shall we say fare thee well?
Fare thee well. So we have another class before we go, right?
Yes.
One more.
Sharing circle, yes.
One more.
Yeah.
Splendid.
Okay, I'm better now. All better. No, I'm really not, but that's okay.
Did anybody do the Global Ecstatic Awakening dance?
What?
Audio thing that I sent you.
Oh, I did it with you.
You did do it with me.
No.
Did it sound all right?
I did it with headphones. It was good. Yeah, quite good.
Great. Because you were there on the night as well, weren't you?
I've done as well, yes. It was great, yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I didn't actually listen to it all the way through. Yeah, I've listened to it and cut bits out and just like, well, not cut that many bits out, but cut the people out talking and stuff. But yeah, so I haven't actually listened to it all the way through because it takes a really long time to edit these things. So it's so many hours in the day, so it's good that it sounds okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so should we bring this meeting to a close? Om Namo Gurudev Namah. It's the wrong class. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks' time. Keep that WhatsApp buzzing. It's so beautiful to hear you all. Have a fantastic birthday tomorrow, George.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
We'll see you all in a couple of weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.